Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Brothers and sisters, welcome. I have a very special presentation for you today. I know people are telling me I should rest, I should relax, take a break. I can't. I think about it and I say I can't. Because so much is happening. So much is happening right now. Anyone can see that, can see it all. Everything is, hell is about to break, hell is breaking loose, about to break loose. They're talking nuclear war. They never talked like that before. None of you that's alive right now ever heard them talk about nuclear war like they're talking about it now. They're telling people prepare for war. In Europe, they're saying they're actually at war. And this is exactly what they've been telling you for the last few years. In fact, 30 years. I've been really bringing that home for the last few years. And now you're here. And it's all about the Holocaust, the consequence. And we're going to talk about that in a little more detail and different from a different perspective today. Right? Because we need to understand these things. Now, understand, brothers and sisters, I don't expect anyone to see it from my perspective. But you see it because we all see things from a different perspective. If you look up at the sky right now, right, you see the sky in one way. I see the same identical sky in a different way because we're looking from different perspectives. But we still know it's the sky. And we still know it's war coming. And we still know it's World War III. And we do know, right, the basic players, some of us. Right? So we should be able to agree on that if we conscious at all. But and what part, who's going to play, what's going to move first, and so forth and so on. You see, it's just like a chessboard. Like both of us looking at it, we're playing chess. But you see it from one perspective, I see it from a different perspective. But we're looking at the same board. But you are you playing against me, I'm playing against you. So we obviously different perspectives, even though we're looking at the same thing. So the enemy is looking at, the devil's looking at it from one point of view, this world at one point of view, and the original people that's awake are looking at it from a different point of view. The same identical thing. Each different perspectives look at the same thing with different motivations. So we're going to try to talk about some of those things. But the bottom line is, it's the Holocaust. They know it's hard, but they can't admit that because they'd be diminishing their propaganda, because that's part of the war too. I told you, psychological, that's part of the war too. It's all these things are part of the war, right? But we're fighting the mind war. That's the most powerful part of it. But those other parts still work. Those other parts still, they have power. Right? But we're going hard, like, you got a machine gun, the other person got a knife. Them have a knife, they can still hurt you with that knife. They actually kill you with it if you get close enough. Like those old, Steven Seagal movies, right? Where he quite chop everybody, but they got to get within him. I said, all you got to do is stay 2 feet away from that dude and you beat him. They're going to get right up on him and boom. Yeah, I still have to say that. Because this is very serious, brothers and sisters. This is no joke. And I'm going to try to get you to try to understand, because that's the problem I'm having right now, is to get my people to see that this is no joke. Because some can see these things, just don't understand how it's going to affect them. And we got these demons going full time on TV. I mean, last night, I showed a presentation. This guy, Ralph Meeks, whatever he is, they had him on Fox News asking him, what about Ukraine? They don't ask Negroes about stuff like that. Why are they asking him? Because they know, right, that more black folks are paying attention. And so they got to make sure they got them in a good grip. People don't pay attention to these things. They don't ask, especially on Fox, they don't ask Negroes stuff like that. They ask about Black Lives Matter. So they don't ask about foreign policy. In fact, they very so even asked that on CNN and MSNBC. So why they bring this nigga on and ask him about foreign policy, about nuclear war, about Ukraine. That's very special. But most people don't notice these things. Like I said, I notice things people don't notice. So let's move on, brothers and sisters. This is a very special presentation. If you notice, I've been talking a lot of things lately, and I've been talking a lot of things I never talked about before. Because I keep telling you, there's a lot of things I'd like to tell you, something I can't tell you, and something I just don't have the time. Now, I've been freeing up a lot of my time lately, so I can concentrate on this. I said I have to deal with other people and all their problems and everything else. I've been trying, because I need to focus 100%. Now, it'd be helpful if I had people, right, that I could depend on, right? But I don't have that. So I have to do it myself. And that's why it says the harvest was great, but the works was few. And it says, soon I looked and said, found no one who could help. See, like a dog brings you a bone. I ain't calling anybody a dog. A dog brings you a bone. He thinks he's doing a good thing. But you can't eat that bone. And I try to get my people to understand, right? I try to get people to understand. And I'm going to try to bring something home in this presentation. What's at stake here? This is not Negro land. We can't be effing around here, bullshitting around. This is serious business. And you got to take it serious because your life is at stake. And I'm talking about the angel people. Because if you're going to make it to the hereafter, that means the angel's in you. I'm going to try to bring this concept home today if I get around to it. So much, brothers and sisters. So maybe I can come at indirectly. But we're going to talk about the balanced perfect, part 2. Balanced perfect, because our people, in fact the world, have no idea about the balance. The Quran talks about the balance. They have no idea what the balance is. They have no idea what perfection is, what perfect is. They have no idea. Perfect is balance. But they're trying to give you to think this positive is perfect. See, negative is not part of it. But when you look at the world, you see a balance. But they say, oh, like the guys they make up, they like don't born without a mother, without a father. They don't use the bathroom, and it's like, and that's not what that's not how the reality works. I'm gonna try to emphasize that today as much as possible as I can today. But this might be a little longer than expected. I'm going to try to bring a few concepts home. Because the way you view reality is not the way Master Muhammad view reality. It's not the way I view reality. Because we actually view reality. You're still in a belief matrix, all of you. Everyone else, even those that study injury, still in the belief matrix because you don't understand. You might be waking up, but you don't understand really what's going on. And I'm trying to get you to the point where I can really drop it on you. To really understand your creation, understand who you are. It says you will not return, you have thorough knowledge of self. I'm trying to bring you there. See? So when Lazarus wakes up, right, you have thorough knowledge of self, and they will have thorough knowledge of self. But it's take 30 years of constant resonance, getting that information out. So when he wakes up and stands on his feet, his mind's getting back to him. Because your mind really hasn't gotten back to you yet. You're starting to get it back, but you haven't got it back yet. Some of you starting to get it back, but you haven't got it back yet. And I'm going to try to explain some of these things. Because the thing is that it says, Sulaiman, be a perfectionist. Perfectionists, and you'll see why in a minute. And that's one of the reasons why you'll be most hated in this, because this world is not perfection. It's flawed, and it hates perfection. It doesn't recognize it, and it hates it. Because right now, what's America? America's a whole system based on compromise. That's what democracy is, right? Compromise. You can't compromise truth. And what did Suleiman say? I'm the truth. I'm the way. He said, no one can get to the Father but through me. That's like a dictator. This whole world's against that. And the truth, no compromise. No voting. So this whole world hates that. They say, they claim they love Jesus, but they hate him. That's why it says in the angel, the whole world's going to fight against them. Because they hate him. They say it in their mouths, but they hate him. Because what they call a dictator, he's a dictator. He tells you what it is because he tells you the truth. He's not going to compromise the truth. And you got to compromise. Otherwise you're a dictator. You're telling people. Well, if someone asks me what's the directions from here to North Dakota, I'm going to compromise it. Well, let's vote on it. I'm going to tell you what's the proper way. I'm trying to tell you the proper way to get to the hereafter. There's no compromise there. There's no argument there. It says, I'm the door, I'm the way. It's only one way. So how are we going to compromise that? It's like the sperm that finds egg. There's only one egg. You got to find it. Ain't no compromise. There's no voting there. But that's the way reality works. But they hate that. And that's why they hate Suleiman more than anything. Because he's totally against all of that. Because it's wrong. Because reality is not based on compromise. Mathematics is not based on compromise. And as Muhammad said, Islam is mathematics. Where did he get that from? Master Muhammad. Where's Master Muhammad? He's up there with mathematics. They can't comprehend. So far ahead, they don't have an idea what he's talking about. What idea what he's doing. Yet they can see it. Yet they talking all the math they got. He's going around here, can't do what he wants to do, solving, and they can't touch him because he got superior mathematics they can't touch. So they can vote no they want to. They can't vote away his existence. See? And the thing is, when you're about truth, put it this way. Oh, he's a dictator. Well, look, I'm not going to go into it, right? Because they got you thinking that somebody dictating to you that, that's automatically wrong. So I can talk to you like, oh man, he's exceeding that ends the whole conversation. I don't want to hear it. Because you say, well, I'm free. And damn, and if you're original in America, you're not free anyway. But they got you so confused. They're telling you free and you're a slave, and you see how they got you so mentally messed up that imagine, like Mama said, the truth be so, it should be so foreign to them. See, because you tell the truth be so foreign, they had it so foreign, it won't make any sense to you. That's what it done. It took your mind and they got it going someplace else, and it's hard to deal with you. It's hard to deal with people, right? That even try to understand. It's hard to deal with them because when they boil it down, when you look at it, when you when you distill something, look at the word distill. When you distill it, it still comes down to compromise. They want you to compromise, but they want you to like them. Your friend, that's compromise. They don't want you to tell the truth because they get upset. See? They get mad, angry, pride. Even though you tell them, man, you better get your ass out of the house about to burn. Hey man, what you tell me? See? Their ass burn out. You tell them, you got to do this to get the hell out of here. I don't want you to compromise. There ain't no compromise. This is the way out, period. This exit out this place on fire. This is the exit door. That's period. I mean, yeah, like a dictator, okay? So that's not arguing anybody. It's a waste of time. I just have to be patient until 144,000 wake up. And Master Muhammad's going to pull that switch, and we're going to talk about that. Because it's a waste of time. Because they got people's minds so messed up. It's impossible to talk to anybody. It's been impossible for me to talk to anybody. Since I actually all my life tried to tell you the truth, right? But especially since when I was in the ministry, in fact, I wouldn't say anything because they got ministers. They tried to get me in the ministers class. Because I knew if I got in the ministers class, I had to argue and fight. I didn't want to do all of that. I already had that experience. I mean, I stumbled into angel. I don't know if I knew that I would have to be doing this, I probably would have never gotten anywhere near that book because I had no idea what I was getting into. And now I got to start dealing with people. And people want to argue, and I don't argue. I just block them. I'm not arguing with anybody. I just tell you, if you don't believe it, that's your business. I'm just not going to waste time doing that because it's a waste of time. Because they got your mind so messed up that you can't tell anybody the truth. You can't say truth. That's why Sue may be the most hated of all. Because you just can't tell anybody the truth. They want some perfume on it. They want some hot sauce and onions on it. They don't want it cold. They want cold mathematics. They don't want it. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. Balance Perfect Part 2. The balance. Now I'm going to talk about several different things here. I hope I'll be able to bring it together, pull it all together in the end. Let me get my almost. Hope you heard what I was saying, bro. I've got my new microphone here. And we have a backup presentation, so always do that. The balance. Now, this is where I'm coming from this approach. Then I'm going to talk about different things. I'm going to try to pull it all together at the end. Now, the universe. I'm going to tell you something about the universe you didn't know before. The universe expands and contracts, expands and contracts, expands and contracts. But there's only 2 points in the universe when the universe is perfectly balanced. Only 2 points. When it's fully contracted and fully expanded. That's the only 2 points that is perfectly balanced. You see what I'm talking about in a minute. That's why they say the 25th scientist only shows up twice in history. Because he's perfectly balanced. And he says everything, because remember, things don't happen by itself. He's perfectly balanced. The mathematics universe is perfectly balanced, but our civilization is not perfectly balanced because somebody had to put it in balance, and he's the only one who can do it. Because the time is right to do it, he's the only one who can do it. You understand what I'm saying? The energy is there to do it. Just like we have the energy right now to step out of energy deprivation, but we have the energy, but if you have to use it for that, but they're trying to get you distracted, use it for something else. But now you have the energy, that's how we get energy form. So at that point, we have energy to put our civilization in perfect balance at that point in time. But you need someone who is perfectly balanced to do it. That's why it says Suleiman, or the 25th scientist, only shows up twice in history. Because those are 2 points he's perfectly balanced, and those are 2 times in history where the universe is perfectly balanced. Let me back up. The universe is always balanced. Right? But our relationship to the universe is perfectly balanced at those 2 points in history. When I say perfect, you'll see what I mean in a minute. At those times in history. That's why he never shows up until those times, because he's perfectly balanced. He's the only one who can fine-tune it to put it in perfect balance again. That's why you see in the Ancient of Days, he's the one that gives the kingdom to Master Farah Muhammad, because he puts it, and he says the kingdom that will master is perfectly balanced. But only he could do. How could Master Farah Muhammad do it? Why did he have to do it? And then you don't see him again for about 73 years, because he gave it to him. And then again, in the beginning, then you don't see him again in 73 years. Because that's his job, that's his purpose to come in, and because he's the only one who can do this, he's perfectly balanced. So he can put the universe, he put our civilization in perfect balance and total secret universe. Because we can choose to be out of secret universe. Remember, we decide how we want to format energy. So we can format energy in a way to be totally out of secret universe. But you have the ability to see. But to be in sync, you have to be in sync yourself in the universe in sync. And the only person that's totally in sync, right, totally balanced, is a 25th scientist. He's totally balanced, so he can put our civilization totally in sync with the universe. And so that's the adjustment. We got to keep it, every 72 years, it needs that particular adjustment to fine-tune it. And that fine-tuning is enough to make it last for the next 72 years. I'm going to explain that. So see here, This is perfect balance, like a seesaw. So I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. Okay, say for instance, you're working. So you invest $1,000, you put $1,000 energy in, and you get $1,000 energy back. So that's perfect balance. I give you $1,000 worth of energy, and you pay me enough so I can purchase $1,000 worth of energy, whatever I need. You see, that's perfect balance. You're getting as much as you put in. As much you put in. Perfect balance. You understand? Because you see, that red thing, that's called a fulcrum. It's in perfectly in the middle. Perfectly in the middle. And when it comes to the universe, that happens at 2 times at full extension and full expansion. See? That's the balance. Perfect balance. Okay? So let's go a little further here. Now see this? Now it's balanced, but not perfectly balanced. What do I mean by balance? Because the universe, as it expands, right, then the balance tends one way or the other. It's still balanced for, how am I going to say this? In other words, the fulcrum shifts. So this right here is perfectly balanced. Because now it's not moving. It's balanced, right? Because based on what the fulcrum is. The fulcrum, that's the adjustment you have to have if that fulcrum is there. And the universe expands and contracts. I don't know what that was. Anyway, as the universe expands and contracts, that fulcrum changes, shifts. So that means the balance is balanced, right? Related to that fulcrum, related to how the universe is at that particular time. It's balanced based on the state of the universe at that particular time. So the math at that point is, when the fulcrum is there, is, right? You put in, see, that's us right there, right? The white one on here, that puts in 250, they give 1,000 back. You put 1,000, you only get 250. You put in 1,000, you only get 250 back. You put 1,000 units of energy in, and you only get 250 units back. But the other, he gets reversed. He puts 250, he gets 1,000. That's the situation we was in bondage slavery. We took and we worked our butt off, and we made steak. Remember I said we turned shit to gold? So we was breaking our ass to give them 1,000 units of energy, and they gave us like $10 a unit of energy back. So we gave them $1,000 of work, and they gave us $10 worth of money back. So we was giving them $1,000, they was giving us $10 back. Every time we gave them 1,000, they gave us $10 back. So we gave them steaks, and they give us shit. We gave them steaks, they give us shit. They give us cow chips. See what I'm saying? But that was the balance at the time. See? And so, that was the balance. But they didn't have to give us shit, right? They could have gave us small steaks or something. They didn't have to give us shit. See, that's the point. They went overboard. See? They went overboard. See? Well, let me say it a different way. Let me say it a different way. This is better, because what I'm saying right now, I'm going to confuse people. We gave them 1,000, they gave us 250 back. Right? So we gave them 1,000, they gave us 250 back. But they went overboard. Give 1,000, they only gave us 100 back. Or even 50 back, or even 10 back. So in other words, they're supposed to give it 250 back. That's a better way of saying it. Forget what I said earlier, because that's going more complicated stuff. I don't want to go there. So we gave them 1,000, and they gave us 50 back. They're supposed to give us 250 back. See? So in other words, we gave them steaks. They should have given us at least dog food. Right? See? It's still beef is not the best quality, right? See? Or gave us, well, maybe we won't give us any meat at all. Just give us potatoes. See?
But no, they gave us shit. They gave us less, even less than the balance required. That's the hard cost. That's the heart of it. So let me try to keep this in sync so everybody understands what we're talking about. So we gave them $1,000, and they gave us, they supposed the balance would have been $250. That's slavery. You know, minimum overhead, maximum profit, right? But they were overhead. So it was our enslavement and affliction. So enslavement meant, okay, you go over there, you can work for these people, right? And they got control over you, right? And so you're going to go out there and you're going to give them $1,000 worth of energy every day, and then they're going to give you $250 back. You get a little hut and everything, so you're not going to get much, but you know, you're going to be on a lower level than them. And so that's the enslavement. But the affliction came was, instead of giving you $250, they gave you $50 or even $10. You understand what I'm saying? That's where affliction came in. So instead of giving us oatmeal and maybe, you know, just warm water and, you know, and a little shack, right? They just live in a hole, keep feeding us shit and pissing on us. See which one they went overboard. That's the hard cost. I hope you understand, brothers. I'm trying to keep this simple. And I would remember, but the balance was that if they gave it $250, it would have been no problem, because that was in sync with the universe. That was in sync. There would have been no problem. See, no judgment against them, because we was told to submit to them, and they was told not to go near that tree. In other words, don't go overboard, don't go over the limits. Hope you understand. I'm trying to go slow and try to be articulate. I'm working on it, brothers, but at 73 years, I don't think my voice is going to change one bit. In fact, it seems like to me it's getting worse. Okay. So that's energy deprivation. 50,000 years was in, it got worse and worse and worse. Now this is where we're going now. We are in energy deprivation. This is our future. Our future is, because like it says in the Bible, it says at some point, how do they say it? Well, I don't know how they say it exactly. What they're saying is, this is the mathematics of this. It talks about in terms of it's like when you go out and you go in the field and you farm, right? And you go out there and you sow and all that kind of stuff, and the crops come up and everything else, right? And the bottom line, they say, well, I ain't saying it correctly, but what they mean is like the crop will come before you go out and plow. It's going to be so good for you. You mean before you even go out and start plowing and sow a seed, the crop come up. Like I said, that's the point. So the point is, that's where we're going right now, because as we move to the future, we put $100 in, and we get $2,500 more back. We put $100 to get $1,000 back, $10,000 back. For $100, you get $1 million back. That's our future, because that's what I mean by get better and better and better. You put a little bit of energy, you get a whole lot back. But energy deprivation was the opposite. So you get all this back, just put a little bit in. See, but right now, it's just a little better than 50-50. Well, actually, it's 50-50 right now. That means you're not energy deprivation. It means if you put this much energy, you get this much back. If you put $1,000 in, you get $1,000 back. That's what it is right now. But because of self-imposed energy deprivation, right, you're still getting that same thing. If you put $1,000, you get $1,000 back. But the point is, you're not using that $1,000 for your benefit. So right? So in other words, you're not getting $1,000 of beneficial that's going to benefit you personally, because you're wasting it splurging other things. I'm going to leave it there because I can get kind of complicated, but I hope you understand. So right now, at this point in time, right, that's why you're making them nervous, because at this point in time, if you're not suffering energy deprivation, if they punch you, you can punch them right back. And they do instant payback, because that's if you're not suffering self-imposed energy deprivation. But then it balances off again, because you're causing it to be off. But if you're not doing that, it's 50-50. What you put in, you get out. What you put in, you get out. It's balanced right now. You understand? But the energy is momentous in the heavens and earth, but it's kind of a this energy we're about to experience every 50 years is going to put us to the edge. So we're going to get more that we put in. And the enemy seeing that, because remember, he's a personification about energy deprivation. That means his power, remember, he's the opposite of that. So that means when that happens, he loses power. We gain power over him. See, our power over us was the other way. But in the third verse, we have power over him now. See? Because if you look at it from this point of view right here, right? Say, for instance, that's the white one is the enemy. So he's putting 2,500 and he'll get 100 back. And he's putting 2,500 worth of energy, he'll get 100 back. See? That's like, right? He got 2,500 soldiers and we got 100 soldiers and we defeat 100, beat the 2,500. You see the point? The 100 beat 2,500 because that's the balance at the time. That's what the Quran says. One can beat the balance. So at this point in time, you have equality, but now you're getting ready to get the edge because this energy we have to experience. I keep telling you about the experience, right? Is going to give you the edge. So now, and that put them at a deficit. So, say for instance, you put 100 in, you get 100 back. Now you're going to get the edge. Well, you can put 100 in, you'll get 150 back. But if you get 150 back, that means they put in 150 and you get 100 back. See? So look at it easier way. Say you put in 100, you get 200 back. Right? You put 100, right now you put 100, you get 100 back. So you're equal with the devil. But if when this energy decreases, and say energy increases and your power increases twice as much as it is now, right? So now you put 100, you get 200 back. You get you put 300 back because you're getting 300 back. You put 100, you get 300 back. That gives you a great edge. But that means they put in 300 and you get 100 back. That means it's 2-1. That means you can beat them 2-1. So 100 of us can beat 200, beat 300 of them. Let me say this right. If you put 100 and you get 300 back, that means they put 300 only getting 100 back, right? So it's 3-1. So one of you can beat 3 of them. That's the balance. See? So 1,000 of us, we can beat 3,000 of them. That's the balance. Hope you understand that. And that's what's about to happen now. So I'm not saying what the ratio is going to be, because it could be 10-1. Because the energy we're supposed to get right now, because remember, the last time in the 60s we got one, and that raised black folks up. And so now white folks said, let's power over us. Because in order for that civil rights stuff to come in, that means that was a loss of power for them, because they had to give power. Remember, nothing just happens no way. When that means they and back when it was a chain, was in the fields, right? That energy, we got the first energy burst. That means they lost power over us. We gained more power of ourselves. Power is not created or destroyed. That means if you got so much power, say there's $1,000 right there. If somebody got 900, that means the other person only got 100. So much energy. So they lost power over us, and we gained power over them. So now we could vote and all this stuff if you wanted to do that stuff, right? But we wanted separation. But we had more power, and they had less. And then in the 20s, right? Same thing. You know, you had people like Noble Drew Ali, Master Muhammad, people like and increased our power again. And then in the 60s, it increased again. They had less power. They have less power over us now than they had back 100 years ago. And so this bunch of energy you have right now going less power, which is going to scare them. That's why they're going to try to get rid of us, because now they realize they have to. Otherwise, we will take, because if we have more power, that means they'll be afraid what we might do to them. They know what they did to us. We understand that, brothers and sisters. So, but this is your future. Right? You put $100 in, and you get $2,500 back. You put a little energy and all this back. It's going to get better and better. You put 100, you get $1 million back. You get $1 billion back. Oh, it's fantastic. But that's the joy. That's the heaven. That's the paradise that you're about to inherit. That's what's at stake. That's why everybody's trying to get it. Because they know that balance. If they're here for that balance and you ain't, then they're going to benefit from that. They want to get you out the way because they know as long as you're here, that balance is going to be in your favor. But you out, then it's a recalculation because now we not exist anymore, right? So now that balance works in their favor. Because right now it's working against them. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to... Okay, the balancer. The balancer. Let's look at this one. Now, this is from looking at a different point of view here. This universe. Okay? Before I do that, I want you to take a minute to think about what we just talked about. Because I want you to be very clear about what we talked about. Because this is very, I don't want to jump the gun here. I don't want to go too fast. Because I'm going to talk about some stuff that's very, well, it's complicated, but I'm going to make it simple, make it simple possible. But I want all this hanging together. I want you to really understand it. So go ahead, take a minute. I'm going to take a little break here, check on something. Be a minute. Just think about what I just explained to you. That gel in your mind for a minute. That bump says, but I got a little technical issue here. So I can resolve it real quick. What happened there? Why is it doing that? Okay. That was weird. Now, what I'm going to try to talk about here, and the universe expands and contracts. Now, as I said initially, I said there's 2 points in the universe where it's perfectly balanced. That's at the total contraction and total expansion. And so right now we're looking at a graphic of what it would look like in total expansion, right? So you got negative, positive, that's totally balanced, right? See, totally balanced. Negative equal positive. Because when you look at a equal sign, right? One side is negative, one side is positive. But how both sides equal? How you? Because you say 5 equals 5, right? No, one of those 5 is negative because you put the other side to make it, to verify it, you have to say 5 minus 5 equals 0. So one of them is negative. So that's the balance. The negative equals a positive. Remember, consequence. Negative is the consequence of the positive, or the positive consequence of negative. You have to have 2. That's why the Quran says Allah makes everything in pairs. They probably missed that one. Everything in pairs, right? So the positive equals the negative, right? At full expansion, So let's look at, let's go a little further here. So now, that's not true. Remember that fulcrum? Now, right, the positive may be a little more, right, than the negative. You see, the fulcrum. So it's a little off. Now, this is not a perfect graphic, right? But I'm trying to explain to you so you understand. It's not a perfect graphic, right? For what I'm trying to explain to you. I couldn't find one that really explains the kind of thing I want to explain to you in the simplest way you understand. So it's not, the fulcrum changes. So we write history every 25,000 years, that cycle. And there's a reason for that anyway. And we have 4 periods, 4 seasons every 25,000 years. Each one about 6,000 years apiece. Okay? And we have the God that rules that. So the universe in total balance, that's when Suleiman, that's the 25th scientist, he comes in and he has to get our society, right, our civilization, and total single universe at that point, because the universe is totally, we have the energy for total balance, but now we need somebody to bring out, because remember, you have to get formed energy, the energy's here, so you have to get formed to it, so he takes and puts everything equal, balance everything's out, he fine-tunes it, right, in those 2 periods of time, he fine-tunes it, to make everything equal. Negatives, balance, positive. That's part of the reason why, because the universe was slightly out of balance, is why you have in the Quran a man's degree above woman, because it was slightly out of balance. But Suleiman comes in and takes it and put everything equal. She's equal to you. Everything, he balances everything. Okay. So then the universe started contracting. So then the balance started moving ever so much, hardly detectable. It takes millions of years before you even notice, even billions of years for you, trillions of years before you know a degree. But it's small. But without, since we're small and everything here, those little, it might not seem insignificant in universal terms, but in our terms it is significant. Because if we live 1,000 years, each one will live 1,000 years, and I don't think anybody will ever live that much or even longer, right? The universe changed just a little bit because it kept expanding or kept contracting a little bit. So now it's not, the fulcrum's changed a little bit, so it's not as it was perfectly. So Suleiman, he's gone. He's in the background now because the universe ain't perfectly tuned at that point. You don't have the energy to be perfectly tuned at that time, be perfectly tuned at that time. But it's close. You hardly notice it. So that's where the scientists come in, 24th scientists come in, because he's slightly off. But he's totally in tune with the universe at that point. So if the universe is 0.00000000009 off, well, he's 0.00009 off. He's perfectly in sync with that. So he rules. So say he ruled 1,000 years, right? Then his offspring, right? Now he was off by 0.0. Let me say it. We're gonna say 5 nines, 0.059, right? See. So his son may be .5. What's the best way to say it? The boy didn't just a little bit more than point. So in other words, okay, if it's 1, that's 1, right? Let me just use a bigger fraction, easier, right? Okay. Say he's off by, it's 100% balance, but he's off, but he's 99%. So he's close. He's close, and he can move for that balance won't be changed significantly for 1,000 years. After 1,000 years, it goes to, instead of 99%, 98%. It's 90%. Oh, it's 9% perfect now. So his offspring, right, will be 98 off. So he ruled for 1,000. Next one, 97, until he gets out of range. He gets out of the 90s. And then he can't, so, right? So it moves to another scientist. Because he only had a 90 range. So his seed can only get our sink up to in the 90 range. He can't produce one that's 8. So then another scientist, that's the next scientist, 23rd scientist might come in, and he's only in sync to 98%. So now, but the universe is 98%. So now he's in perfect tune with the universe, so he rules for 1,000 years. And so forth for 10,000, you write 1,000, then the next 97, 96, 95, and then the next one. I'm just giving you an example. And that's the way it works. See, that's why you have those come. See, Master Muhammad, right? Based on what I just told you, his seed would probably rule for the next 10,000 years until his total cycle over. Okay? And then another scientist, he would step in and rule. His seed will last as long as that period. I'm not saying exactly how the period of time, I'm just giving you an idea how it works. That's why you have different scientists step in, because they're tuned at that time. Because Dr. Yakub was in tune for the time that he was, for 6,000 years. He was in tune. You understand? He was in sync. In tune and sync. So this is what happens here. So, you remember, now, it's changing. So let's go further. See? So it's still changing, right? It's getting more out of sync. It's not fine. See? It's more out of sync with everything that's totally, the fulcrum is moving. See? When it's totally in sync, that means you put in as much as you get out. Okay? So now it's changing. See? So. Let's change, it's getting further and further away. So now, this is where the beginning. Full contraction now. Remember, it was contracting. That's what I mean. It was contracting. Now it's a full contraction. Right? Now remember, when it's full expansion, you had negative over here and positive over here. Right? Separate. But now it's full, they come together. And that shows how we were one being at that time, because the one being, he was both positive and negative. The one being was both positive and negative. At full expansion, right, you had two separate. You had the male and the female. But in the beginning, it was one being. He's both positive and negative. See what I'm saying? That's that full contraction. You say, wait a minute, you didn't go 360 degrees. No, I didn't. I'm going to explain to you why. Or 180 degrees. Because the universe has two phases. Two polarizations. Two polarizations. But you won't notice it. But it has two polarizations. You won't notice it. It won't affect you at all. It has two polarizations. They're exactly equal. There's just two polarizations. What do I mean by that? That means now the universe starts contracting again. Just like it did before. Exactly. Only difference is it's different polarization. So instead of it was contracting positive, now it's contracting negative. What does that mean? Different polarization. That means everything's reversed. So your heart is not going to be left side, it's going to be on the heart's right side. You're not going to be right-handed, you're going to be left-handed. You ain't going to know different. The sun's not going to rise in the east anymore, it's going to rise in the west. It's all perfect. You just have different polarization. Nothing will change, it's just different polarization. That's where it works. I mean, there's nothing to, I mean, you wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't notice it, and telling you that really doesn't even matter. But if you don't tell you that, if you start studying, you say, wait a minute, there's something missing here. Because That's only 180 degrees. What happened to the other 680 degrees? See? The polarization. You know exactly, everything happens exactly. Everything that you're doing, you just do it opposite. If you read from right to left, you'll be reading from left to right. You won't notice the difference. You will not notice the difference. Because the last cycle, that's what you was told. If you was right-handed now, you was left-handed the other one. And the sun didn't rise in the east, it rose in the west. That's different polarization. That's all. See? So, that's interesting to know. I mean, nothing you can do with it. But it completes your knowledge of how the universe works. See? And said you get thorough knowledge from Suleiman, he just tell you all of it. See? So now it's going the rest of 80 degrees. And see what you're seeing is you see the positive on this side now, where the positive was on the other side before. Because different polarization, the positive, we see the positive on the left side now, before it was on the right side. Now it's on the left side, because different polarization, but exactly the same, everything is exactly the same, forever. It just keep on going, right? Expand, expand, track, forever. But the part of this phase, a complete phase, is a polarization, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. See? It's mathematics. And it explains why that's 25th. Because they never explain to you why 25th sign only shows up twice in history. You say, why? Well, he's a 25th scientist. Why does he only show up twice in history? Every 72, 3 years. I'm trying to explain to you why. Then he goes away. I mean, he doesn't disappear. He disappeared from sight. He's still around. He stays in the background because he's a perfectionist. And he's a fine-tuner. He takes and fine-tunes it, gets it, everything, because that's how civilization lasts forever. Because if he doesn't do that, that means we have falls and rises civilization all the way down the line. He has to fine-tune it and start and put it like I'm doing to you right now. I'm telling the science and everything else. So get everything, get it right. And so we don't have that problem. Fine-tune it, right? Put the proper science in charge, Master Muhammad, he's the God. And he said he had to set up a kingdom that lasts forever. Then he had to establish it and give the guidelines and everything else. And just to put it there, he has to set it up. So fine-tune it, and then, you understand what I'm saying? You haven't seen these scriptures, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to give you. So here you go right here. Perfect balance is fully expanded. Now it's contracting. Perfect balance. Contracted. Now, different polarization. Still the same. Polarization is different. He wouldn't notice the difference. He's opposite. He's polar. He's opposite now. Everything is. He's not right. He's left-handed now. Everything is polarization, and it completes the cycle. See, just keep going back and forth. Only polarization changes. Contract, expand, and the polarization changes between each one of those phases. So you have a phase, complete phase, contraction and expansion, and then contraction, expansion with different polarization, and then reverse, polarization reverse again, back and forth forever. Okay, let's talk about something else here, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to bring all this together to you for you. Gravitational vortex. And this gets back to understand. So I'm trying to connect up the Quran too, if you notice. Right, because I reference conflict, like in the beginning I said about the balance, how the Quran says 10 can take out 1,000. That show now you understand the math why they can say that. It shows you because that's the balance at that time. Energy deprivation, how we would suffer. It gets back to Exodus. Gets back to Abrahamic covenant. Now talked about, right? Universe expanding, contracting, right? And try to explain to you why said the 25th sign only show up twice in history. So I'm trying to connect all this together. Now the gravitational vortex. Let's look at that. Now vortex is something that draws things in. No, it's like a whirlpool. It draws things in. See? And if it's based on gravity, which it usually is, don't necessarily have to be, right? It's the pull of the gravity. But a vortex, but it's like a spinning thing. So it's drawing things in, and the gravity is the root of its power, right? Sucks things in. So every society, every civilization has a gravitational vortex. Depends on how strong it is and what polarization it is. That polarization, because you can be spinning left, clockwise or counterclockwise. That makes a difference. I don't know if I'm going into that kind of detail here or not, but we'll see. Here's angel key. Now we're going to try to explain some things based on angel key here. This is angel key. For those of you not familiar with it, that's angel key. So this is where we are in time right now. See, you see Syria, Iran, they're covering European countries because they negotiate with them. At the same time, they put pressure on America and Britain because that's why they're moving up. They right next to put pressure on. What's the pressure? The nature of the pressure is enriching uranium. Now, the last news I heard last night was, and they was showing this on Fox News. Man, they haven't been talking about too much in America, but now they're even talking about in America. Nuclear war. They talk all over the world, but it was kind of keeping on low here, but now they're talking about here. They're talking about Iran may even have nuclear weapons already. They may have a bomb. They got tons of uranium, enriched uranium, at 60%. And they spin those centrifuges fast, and that's putting pressure because they want them to stand in want to return to JCPOA, which they're not in it because that means they was under the foot of the nations. But they're not returning. The angel tells them not going to return to it, and they constantly rich in uranium, and they said they cannot, false Israel in particular, and America can't either, they can't allow them to have nuclear weapons because that does all kinds of problems. It causes economic problems too for the United States because if they have that, then they have false Israel don't have control of the region anymore. Then Iran has greater control, and they can take and they also have control of a great amounts of oil. They have control of great amounts of oil, but now they can influence the oil that they have in Arabia and every place else. I'm going to take a little segue on that because I don't think I explained that very well, brothers and sisters, earlier. I said we turn shit into gold. We take advantage of every situation. So we knew we had to go into innovation. So how can we benefit from it? How can we use this to our benefit? So Dr. Boz came up and says, okay, we go in through it and go right in the middle, get right in that furnace. Right? Just jump in. We can turn ourselves from angels into gods. But we have to suffer, but that'll be in result. All thing is, we have other issues. We have issues about, see, that oil and the oil that they have, it takes billions and billions and billions and billions of years to produce that much oil because it's decayed organic matter. When something dies, right, that's what happens. The earth converts it into oil. Little bits. But billions and billions of years, it becomes so lot. So what you see in the ground right now is a result of billions and billions and billions of years of organic matter that died and be converted into oil. millions of years of it. But the problem is, under the ground also, we have our reservoirs of fresh water. Because you can't drink the water in the ocean. That's salty water. But we have reservoirs, not just the lakes and rivers. We have underground lakes and rivers. That's why they can build wells and things like that there to bring water up, because we have lakes. If you tap one of those, you have a well. You have lakes and rivers of water flowing all through the earth. We prepared that when we used to live in the sea, because when we said, make a owner, creator of planet Earth, God, and universe. So we prepared all these reservoirs of fresh water once we decided we was going to live in the ocean anymore. We lived in the ocean for trillions of years. And then we decided to move to land, but while we was in the ocean, because the point is, one reason why we lived in the ocean, because they didn't have any land at that time. It wasn't any land. First it was the fire world. That's the fire angels. And I'm sorry, we're going to go a little more. I'm not going to go there. Right? And then, well, we have to go there a little bit. Because, remember, I told you as the universe expands, the Falcon goes against us. It goes against us. Oh, okay, I won't lose my train of thought. The Falcon goes against us. In other words, when the Earth universe is total contraction, that's at the best part, because we put in $1 and we get $1 trillion back. That's how rich, powerful we are. Put $1, we get a penny, we get $1 trillion back. I'm using an example. But you know, as it's expanding, that's the rate's going to go down. So if you put a penny, then you get $100,000, you get $1 million, and then you get $100,000. After a while, we get energy deprivation. We put a penny in it, we put $1 million in, we only get a penny back. It turns reverse. And they said, the fire angels at that time, because we had, like it says in Quran, you got these things in Quran, these sales, you don't pay attention to these things they're saying, because you think there's something saying. Iblis said, no, you made me a fire before. Because we were fire at the time. Because if they tell you, says, I need to stop, because every time I say something, I go into something else, and there's so much stuff here. Right? I don't lose my train of thought here. But if you understand the earth, it says the earth, it says no one understands that book except Allah and those further related knowledge. Because they don't understand what they're talking about. They don't understand we used to be fire. Because if the universe, it says heaven and earth was one. For that to be, that means all the energy out there had to be the atmosphere. That means this place had to be a fire, had to be, it had to be called a superstar. It means nothing but fire. That's why I say we was made of fire first. It wasn't any water. It was a fireball. See? But it was fire-based, it was fierce. And we had tons of energy. Unstoppable. Wise, powerful, gigantic beings. And angels loved that. It was billions of us. And we loved it. It was great. The greatest time in our creation. I mean, so much energy. All the energy out there was here. Fire beings, fire. And then, but they didn't want to expand. They said, if we expand, we're going to start losing our investment. We're going to start losing this power. They tried to get the 25th scientists to not to ignite the universe. Try to keep it like it was. Because they said that's the best we could ever be. And he built a fortress. He had a fortress in the center of the earth. That's why it says, Queen of the planet Earth, Queen rises from bottom to the top, with the center of the earth's center core was hottest. See? And he built a fortress with the water. And they tried to get in that fortress to stop him from igniting the universe. And they was getting close. And what he did is remember the atmosphere was fire and gases, hydrogen, oxygen. Right? So what he did was he mixed oxygen and hydrogen together in enough numbers that caused water. They're both fire, water. Water puts out fire. And he cause a storm of water, right? Because the angels, they were fire. They never seen water. They never think about any water. He did that, and it put them all out, destroyed them, just like that instant. Bam. Except him and those in his fortress. Just like I got rid of them, because they was trying to stop the same thing they tried to do. They tried to stop gender. They had that big war trying to stop gender. See, a lot of them didn't tell it that way. He explained to you that way, but that's how gender came about. Anyway, so he put them all out. Water puts out fire. He protected himself. He put them out, and then, right? Then what they did is they started, right? That water start building oceans, bring more water, cool the planet off, right? The surface and everything. They moved from the center, near the surface, into the water. It wasn't a land. And so it's been trillions of years forming land, right? Until you had enough land to rise above the water. Then they took hydrogen, remember the atmosphere, all that energy out there was here, and made the sun. The sun's almost all hydrogen. The cool, right? For the surface of the earth. And eventually move to the surface. That's another story altogether. But we lived in the center of the earth for trillions of years, then we lived on the associates for trillions of years, in the ocean, and then we moved finally to the surface. And we made all that land. Now I got to remember how I know that part, but how did I get to segue into the land? See? And we made the land. Okay. So back to, I'm missing something, but I'll come back to it. Right? Okay. So here's an angel key here. Now, what I want to show here is, we're talking about the gravitational vortex. Right? Okay. Now that comes from the mind. Because this civilization we have is based on the minds of the devils. Because your mind is pressure. And the whole reality is pressure. So, okay, so here it is. This is society. And there's gravity, And your mind has to be strong in it. Otherwise, you're caught up in it. Greater pressure overcomes less pressure. If your mind is weaker than it, that means they can control you because they got your blood pressure cannot escape. Because they surround your pressure. Their pressure is greater, so they got your pressure trapped inside of theirs. See? So in other words, to get out, you have to increase your pressure where you can escape if your pressure comes greater than theirs. Okay? So what we're saying, we see here in time where the JCPOA was dissolved in 2018. I mean 2018, right? What I'm talking about. In probably 6 months by Mr. Trump. So now they're conflicting with European countries, and they're enriching uranium, which is putting pressure. That's the pressure. That's the wind. When they're talking about the wind, that's the wind that's putting pressure. Not the four winds. They're talking about this wind of the earth. It's in my chapter 7, I believe, where it says, hold back those winds of the earth. Okay, they're putting pressure by enriching. And they can't allow them to enrich because they enrich and they have the bomb. That means false Israel's power is broken in the Middle East. Because they can't do all the stuff they want to do. Oh, that's why I was talking about the oil. Okay, let me get back to the oil situation. So, once we're on land, right, all the organic matter, trees, life, and whatever, dying over millions and millions of years, and that we bury them back to earth, and it eventually turns into oil, organic matter. And so it was so much in it. And when I say we had rivers and all that kind of stuff, right? It was so much oil, so much accumulated, that was starting to come in contact with the rivers and lakes we have, which would poison them, which would limit our supply of fresh water. We had to be totally dependent upon the lakes and the rivers, which would not be enough, especially with the kind of population we're talking about here. So it would pollute all our underground oceans. Some people say underground oceans, but underground rivers and lakes. It polluted them because the water would have got into it. And so what we said was, okay, right? Since we got to go into deprivation and we want to get the power to rule, right? And we know it's going to corrupt the earth because they're not in tune with the earth. So what we do is we teach them how to build civilization that's run off of oil. Because our civilization will not be run off oil. Our civilization before this wasn't off. All you need, even by their standards, thousands, tens of thousands of civilization, none of them ever used oil before. So like we can't live without oil. But this civilization cannot live without oil. You understand? This civilization here, devil's civilization, Yakub's craft, this civilization can, the way they have it set, the industrial complex, cannot live without oil. That oil collapses. All their power is in the oil. All their power, everything is invested in oil. But see, oil is perishable. That means it doesn't replace itself. Like river, right? It drains, but it rains and then it replaces it. It recycles. But the oil, it takes millions and billions of years to produce that stuff. So it would take billions and trillions of years to replace it. And they're using up really fast. So what happens when oil runs out? This whole civilization collapses, crashes. All their military, all their tanks, all that stuff, it requires oil to close you with all that stuff. So it comes to screeching halt. Screeching halt. See? And that's why we gave them that, because we know they're going to pollute the world anyway. So we use them to get rid of that oil out of the ground, pump it out. And where it's mostly going? Over here. Because this whole place could be burning up. That's one of the reasons. So I don't think I made that clear enough in the past, so I'm trying to make it clear now. That's when we gave them that source of their power. See, we could control them from there, because we're getting it from the Middle East. And we claim the Muslims have control of the Middle East, so we could have made it that way. They would never got any power, because they would need it all from the Middle East, and we had control of the Middle East, so we said, okay, you never got the power you got now, because we never let you get the oil. So we didn't have to let them have it. See? Because we could have put that in the crime and everything, right? Should never let them have any oil, never dig over here. But you understand what I'm saying? We want to do that. Are you all soon there? We want to do that. Burn it all up. Because we're going to clean the atmosphere up anyway. But now we got rid of the oil. It took billions and billions of years that was causing us a problem. So we use them for our advantage. We use them for all kinds of things they don't even know about. That's why I said submit to Adam. That's what Jim submit to him. Because they wanted them to get all that oil and stuff out of there. And they refuse. They didn't understand. I haven't told all the details. I just told you some of the details. I haven't told all the details of that whole situation. They refused. Because that's one of the reasons why they were told to do it. Because they wanted them to get it all out of there. They said, I ain't going to do it. They don't understand why, Okay, that's another story. Let's move on. So that's the oil thing, right? Okay, so back here. So this is where we are in time right now. Right? Now the gravitational vortex is this society, this civilization, this philosophy, the democracy, capitalism. Well, capitalism is an enslavement tool by definition. Maximum profit, minimum overhead is slavery. This capitalism it wasn't communism that enslaved us, not time for communism. It was socialism. It was capitalism that enslaved us, because that's what capitalists do. And now you have industrial slavery, and you think you're free. And that's how they got your mind so messed up. That's why I don't argue with you, because you think you're free. How can you argue with somebody think they're free? It's like Harriet Tubman said. She said she could have freed more slaves if they even knew it was free. If you didn't know you was a slave back there when they had you in the farm picking cotton and raping you, how the hell you think you're free? That you're free now? If you didn't realize you was a slave back then, there's no way in the world nobody can convince you now if you want. If you could convince you back then, when they was beating your ass and raping you and everything else. That's a powerful statement. I would have freed more if they even knew they were slaves back then. Slave and persecuted. Okay, this is where we're at right now. So let's move on here. And this, I'm all the contingency plan. I'm telling this was going to happen. The war is going to break out. I'm not going into details. The war is going to break out, and American Britain is going to be kicked out of the Middle East. At the same time, when Suleiman comes in as saints, right? But let's back up here for a minute. I'm not. Let me back up here. You see right here? Now the Quran says, I will lift you up, but you cling to the earth. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about NOI. They're clinging to the earth. They're clinging to the earth. See? They're clinging to the earth. Hold on, brothers and sisters. Slight adjustment here. They're clinging to the earth. That's what it means. That's what we're talking about. He said, Allah will lift you up. Suleiman will lift you up. We all are Allah. Don't get it wrong. I'm not trying to say Suleiman is Allah. We all are Allah. We're one body. That's what we're talking about. He will lift you up. But you cling to the earth. They're talking about them. Because they're clinging to the earth. Why? Because demon Farrakhan tell them, you ain't going nowhere. They're clinging to the American dream. They're clinging to it. They're clinging to the earth. Because remember, European, American, Britain, for Israel represents the earth. And they're clinging to the earth. That's what it's talking about. So Suleiman's trying to lift them up. Because he went there. He's trying to lift them up. But he couldn't lift them up because he was clinging to the earth. Because Farrakhan got him clinging to the earth. See? Clinging to the earth, that's what it's talking about. Because it says Allah will lift you up, so He will lift you up. That means you're acceptable to Him. You're acceptable. If He said He will lift you, He didn't talk about demon or everything, because He was trying to lift Him up. He said, I'm trying to lift you up, because you're acceptable to me. But you're resisting. I'm trying to give you a reward. I'm trying to give you a reward, but you're resisting. You're clinging to the earth. You're clinging to the devils. I'm trying to give you a reward. And you're clinging to the earth. You understand what I'm saying? Because He said, I'm trying to lift you up. He said, I will lift you up. He didn't say, you could be lifted up. He said, I will lift you up. I'm trying to lift you up. But you can't. Because if He's not processing lifting up, why is He clinging? You're only clinging when you're trying to keep from being moved. If you're just sitting there, you're not clinging. If you're just sitting there, you're not clinging. I try to tell you, brothers and sisters, you got to really look at these things. I see subtle points that people don't notice. Every word, that's my mind. I got a very sharp mind like that. And you don't cling unless you're being pulled away. If you're not being pulled away, you don't cling. So somebody's lifting them. Somebody's trying to lift them up. Somebody's trying to lift them up. But they cling. That means they're trying to lift them. You're acceptable. You got a reward coming. I'm trying to give you a reward. But you're resisting. Because that's what Farrakhan's got him doing. You understand? See? But I'm going to give you a reward. So what do I have to do? What I have to do is, if I insist on giving you a reward, I have to destroy that what you're clinging to. And then you can lift up. See, brothers and sisters, I'm trying to get you to see. So here you go, right here. Bam. That's that part of the war. I ain't gonna tell you all Master's plans. I told you a lot more I can tell you about that. I can't tell you all his plans. Because I have a surprise. See, there it is. He has cut off your, which is cleaner too. That's when NOI rises. Right? At the same time they attack. Because now they know you're about to get out of here. You're about to rise. See, because now he just cut you off, which was cleaner too. See, now Suleiman's there. See, to lift you up. That's the story. It's right before your eyes. I'm not sharing anything. Anybody who studied engine knows exactly what I've been saying all the time. I just never point this out to you. I keep saying it's all there. So he broke your, he broke what you're clinging to. So he ain't clinging to it anymore. And that Suleiman now can lift you up. He's the one that's lifting you, trying to lift you up. That's right. He's the one trying to lift you up. But you cling to the earth because of Lion Farrakhan. See? So then what happens? That's when they attack. Because they know now you're about to rise. You're about to escape. Remember there was that thing that a war might break out and you be on the side of the enemy and fight against them and then you escape from the land. So now they attack. See? Every time you're about to be lifted up, they broke your grip. All this happened simultaneously. See? False Israel, right? Surrounded, Jerusalem surrounded by armies. All this happened at the same time. See? And you about the nation be born today. Now the elect up there, right? All of us still in a gravitational vortex. It's just that the elect, they're at the rim. They ready to go. They're still here, they ready to go. See? They've escaped to the top, they ready to go. But in Islam, no, they still caught up in it. See? So what happens? False Israel going, right? All this happens at the same time. So I'm trying to give you step by step so you don't get confused. I'm going a little slower than I normally do. Now your grip is broken, now you lift it up. But not only you lift it up, but in the process of being attacked. Because see, when he breaks that, he only breaks it. Remember, okay, let me back up here. He broke your grip. Why? Because when he knocked him out of the Middle East, the economy of America, remember this American dream has got everybody. That's the vortex. He's crippled it. So now you got to hold on to that car you had, that house, all that stuff, it's gone. Electricity's gone, all that stuff. So you got to hold on to. But no, the rest of the demons do either. See, because they hold on to that too. So that's where Master Muhammad pulls that trick and calls America and forces America and Britain, Magog and Britain, be kicked out of the Middle East. And now they're at war with Russia. And forces have been taken down, right? Right? It cripples the economy here. You see the economy is crippled even now. And they ain't even got that far. What do you think it's going to be once the war actually breaks out? Kind of crippled. That's the gravitational vortex that's holding you down. He just broke that. He didn't totally break it, he crippled it. So now it's not holding you down anymore. So now holding you down is not, and our whole nation rises. Even with the demons. See? Because what was the grip? What was the gravitational vortex? This American dream, this wealth, capitalism, all this BS that goes with it. That was where, but now it's shattered. All the demons, right? Open all their money there. Remember it says they have gold, they would throw the gold in the streets with worth of nothing? What are you talking about? Open all of them, all the demons, all their money is gone. So now that was holding them up. So everybody rises. Because that's why I'm crippled. That gravitational vortex. Total economic, well, not total economic failure. They would have that in Europe. But you'd be crippled enough where you break your grip. So now everybody, not only Nation of Islam, all blacks. Because of that, and plus because all blacks have been attacked. Because now they see that you rise and they're going to attack you. They see false Israel goes down now. They grab, the shock of the hour. They realize who you are, right? They'll attack you. They'll have all kinds of reasons to attack you immediately. Because now they know who you are. They see you rising. See? Suleiman, at that time, he's at end of eye. He's the one that's, it said, this gospel preaching all the world. Now he's got a microphone, right? He's sitting in the seat. He's sitting in the seat at NOI now. And he got a universal megaphone. This, that's what it says. And this truth, this gospel will be preaching all the world. Now, it's been broadcast all the world. What's happening? America's judgment, right? All these factors in. See? So they're going to attack you, and those who wait to the last minute, they're under attack because they're supposed to flee. You understand? So I'm just trying to give you a general idea. I'm not going to each item here. I'm just, giving you the basics idea what's going on here. So at that point, the bottom line is that this gravitational vortex is crippled. Right? So you got people like, they're open, they broke, they ain't got no money. It says the money be worthless. So they ain't billionaires or anything anymore. See? So now they're going to come back to you, come back to black folks who they've been living off of, parasites, see? Because they're under attack. They want to unite with us now. Not because they love us, because they want us to take, and they got this crazy idea, they're going to take America. When we get that idea? So I don't want to go into detail here, but I just want to give you the basic idea. Some of you have been following, paying attention to this, you understand the details. Let me show you from the Israel point of view. Master Imam, when he pull that trigger, he's also going to cripple that gravitational vortex that's specifically holding down the Nation of Islam. That's what caused them to attack, right? Because remember, false Israel is taken down. All these things, right? Okay, so here we go. Let's step further here. So now the resurrection is complete. All blacks come together. Now, why does it say that at that time? Now, I should have put that there. See what it says, wind right under the Master Muhammad? That's Elijah. He's returned. He's sitting in his seat now, right? See, that's what it says. Suleiman or Joshua and Elijah return. They return. And those with him, right? They took out all the ones that was worshiping Aaron, Farrakhan, and the golden calf, Sunnism. And it says it was 3,000. Why say 3,000? And your key didn't know that because it's talking about those three demons. Each one is 1,000 if you understand your key. And slaughter all of them. Right? So here we go. They separate them out. There they go. They separate them out. Then when does this happen? Well, when Syria, Iran is there, but that means they're not coming over here. That means at this point is when we're taken out. When Michael shows up, Master Muhammad, he takes us out. Same time, right after we separate the demons, because we have to separate demons out from us first. We separate demons out, then we're taken out. Then you got those left. Some everlasting light, everlasting sharing apartment. Not talking about demons there. Because demons, they're down here now. They were the swine daddies. They cast down, they're slain. Okay? But now, the Shia, let's go back and look at this. let's look at this again. See, because it's like, don't says I could tell you stuff about angel all day and night. Stuff is right in front of your eyes, but you don't see it because you don't see it. Maybe because you're not studying. I don't know. You see what? Man, see, they're not called earth. They're called mid-heaven because they're between the earth and the heavens. The earth represents European countries, and the sea and all that represents the heavens. The heavens. And when the Quran says 7 heavens, why does it say 7 heavens? You know what the 7 heavens mean? Maybe one day I'll tell you. Maybe you can guess. I don't know. 7 heavens. Made the earth right in the 7 heavens. Anyway, so seal, that's the heavens. And they're between, right? But also, the sea and the rivers, that represents the flood. The sea and the rivers, it represents the flood. And who's stopping the flood? Who's blocking the flood from flooding the earth? If we know Noah's Ark, right, the chambers had to be taken, then the flood came. They're holding the flood up. They're the ones keeping the flood. Right? What's the flood? It's a flood of humanity. 200 million man army. That's China and India. Who's going to take out the European countries? Now, when you see that wind right there, right under the Buddha symbol, see? That wind right there, under that represents, I should have the blinkers there, right? Because those two ones right there, one, the top one, right, that represents UK, and the bottom one is America. Now, America's at war, right, with Russia and EU. I told now they tell you news now. EU is starting to turn, the citizens turn against EU because they're not satisfied with this conflict America's have with Ukraine because it's affecting them. And then when it's coming, that's another story I'm not going to talk about it here. Anyway, under those two, that's America and Britain, or Gog and Magog. Right? Now, Britain's up there where the sea is right? And that I'm not sure who that would represent China and North Korea. Anyway, they take them out. They're the first to take out. That gets to this unsealed Bible where they're the firstborn. I'm not going to go into details about that. First, Britain, first will take out. Only thing that survive is their military and everything else, where they run here to America, defend America, where America, God makes his last stand. But they take them out. See, that's what it says, thrown into the sea in chapter 18. They was thrown into the sea, that's them. Right? But anyway, you got Iran, they weren't holding back the sea and the rivers, because that's what represents the flood. China, India, which is going to take and attack America. First, they're going to take out Britain. Then it's going to take out Australia, all those places, right? But its primary goal is to take out America. See? Because that's the goat that attacks the ram in Daniel. The ram is America and Britain. Britain's here, the armed forces and everything's over here now, because the island's been destroyed. So over here in America to make the last stand. That's the ram. And the goat, if you're not touching land, well, that's China. Along India, because if you look at the map, China's on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. They don't have to cross any waters to get here. It's civil. So that means, because if it was someplace else, they'd have to cross China. That means their foot did touch land. That's another story together, brothers and sisters. But see, it was Iran was holding back that flood. Okay, so let's go back and look, right? Let's see what's happening here. Remember, all this can happen pretty fast. Now, these were cast down. At the same time, the locks that was holding the flood back were taken. See? Now, we know this demon war is going to take 5 months. Because it's a war now. They're fighting America. But specifically. Right? And this will go 5 months. While China and India, Japan is building their forces up for war, attacking European countries. There's nothing holding back anymore. The locks, that's what it says nowhere. The locks were removed. Cool, what happens? And remember, this demon situation right here lasts 5 months. Then what happens? After 5 months, America takes out the demons, they're destroyed. See? So once they're destroyed, that took 5 months. China and India's, at that point, they have debarked on the West Coast. Here's the flood. Nothing to hold him back now. Here's the flood. That's what it says, and that's what the angel explains all of this. I gave a little more detail than I normally does here, than I normally do. That's what our brother says. I'm trying to give you, I said, I'll try to come to you from a different perspective here, so you understand what's going on right now. Now, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to talk about a couple things and we'll close out. Like I said, it says Sue will be a perfectionist because he has to fine tune and has to be perfect. So a lot of people don't like perfectionists because, man, well, you want everything, you gotta be just like this. No, because if he didn't do it in the expansion, if he would start expanding, you wouldn't see perfection. Everything you see is perfect. Your universe is perfect. You look out there, it's perfection. You don't see any discrepancy, anything, because he fine-tuned it perfectly. And so you see everything, and we got to go into deprivation. So we come out here, he would fine-tune it again, right? So, because we sit around and, oh man, you put too hard, man. You remember I had a person not too long ago, right? They go on, so, hey man, why you pushing so hard, man? Yeah, you took you so long to do it. Why can't I bother with that person? See, God, listen to them. Whole universe be all screwed up because it has to be perfect. It's only 2 times you can do it. Only one person can do it. Just like the angel. That's why it has stuff like that. Like he can only understand the angel because that's part of the fine tuning process. First, you have to have in mind, but he has to be perfectly in sync, perfectly balanced, to put the universe in perfect balance. And then so it can move. So, as that's not the universe perfect balance, the universe is perfect balance. So we be in perfect balance, sync with the universe. So because no other science can't do it. Other scientists, I mean, they like percent off. That means it'd be 99%. Okay, so it wouldn't last the whole time. It'd be close. That's what said it can never be destroyed. It has set its fine to 100%. That means you can't accept any flaws, any malcontents, any push more bills, and they get angry. Well, that's their problem. Because that's the job the Suman has to do. Otherwise, they have someone else do it. He has to pass a perfect baby to Master Muhammad. Perfect. Perfectly balanced. See? Because most people understand what perfect means. They got the wrong idea of perfect. Is Jesus perfect? Is Jesus walking around? He don't use the bathroom right. He can't die and he walks on water and you don't get his feet dirty. Man, come on. Farrakhan, he's disemboweled, right? He's holy and pure. See, it's a virtue. Since he shouldn't piss in the bag, that means, I shouldn't piss anymore. See how old I am? They had this guy in India. I can't remember what his name was. This was about 20 years ago, right? He was running prime minister or something. And this guy said he was so pure. This is a fact. You can Google it. That he would take and bring out his own urine and drink it. Say, see how pure I am? I can drink my own urine. This is Hindu land. Because they got the wrong idea. Why would you want to do that? See, but they got this idea of perfection and pure. They got the wrong idea. It's balance. Nutrition come, you're full of nutrition, you're full of shit at the same time. When you go to the bathroom, you think come from outer space, come from out of you. So you walk around with a lower on you right now. You won't touch it, but it's inside your body. I ain't touching it, but it's inside your body. It's inside your body right now. That's the situation. You're full of shit. You can't talk like that. Oh no, you want to talk. You're in a shithole, but you don't want to talk that you're in a shithole. See, that's out of balance. You're totally in sync when you're bound. You're totally in sync with the time. And I'm in sync with the time. Because I talk in sync with the time. I'm not talking like Farrakhan, out of sync with me. Who is he? He's out of sync. His whole body is, that's why his body is all, he's disemboweled, because that shows out of sync right there. Because he's in sync. He wouldn't have that situation. Because his whole cycle is broken. See? So now he got rid of this negative cycle. Now he's pure holy now. Because he had shit and piss anymore. I mean, it's ironic in a way when you think about it. If you go deep into it and think about it, think it through. I'm not going that kind of math with you. But you understand what I'm saying? That's the whole idea, brothers and sisters. And when the 140,000 wake up, they'll be balanced. That's why the Quran says they looked at the meanness at first sight. Because he said the believers looked at meanness at first sight. Because you think they could walk around with a cross and they vow. See, think about it. In Christianity, right? You're pure if you're celibate. If you're a monk and you're a pope and you don't have no touch with women. How's that balance? That's the idea they have. And that's supposed to be how Jesus is. That's the idea of Jesus. So he had no contact with women. He's so holy, walks on water. He's celibate. What the hell is that? Solomon wasn't anything like that. Solomon had a whole bunch of wives and everything else. No, I'm not trying to insinuate anything. Right? But they're telling you, Suleiman was down to earth. Read about Suleiman, he was down to earth. But read about this, all these telling you about all these Jesus and all that kind of stuff. They're like, you divine. In other words, you're divine. That means you don't have no negativity. That's not balance. And that doesn't happen in our universe. But that's the idea they have you thinking. So when Superman shows up, or Master Mama shows up, or you have this idea, they're going to walk up, they're coming, they're going to only say positive words, only do positive things. They ain't going to shit, right? They ain't going to talk, say things like that, right? They ain't going to curse, right? They don't walk on water, and they going to... That's not real. That's out of balance. That's what's the consequence? They're so holy, there's no consequence to anything they do. Because they tell you there's no consequence to anything Jesus does. There's no consequence to anything that believes in Jesus. If you believe in Jesus, no consequence to what you do. And that's the idea they give you about divinity. So you say, oh yeah, man, that's special. He's special. No, you can't do that, and it ain't special. You can't do it, and it ain't special. But that's what you got you thinking. You know all those things. See? And so I can rock with you. I know in a minute, it says your sense be sharp that day, because in a minute, when Master Mama breaks your grip on this world, your mind's going to come back to you. The problem is be fast enough to get your ass out of here, we have to go to tribulation. I try to tell people, see, our people are going to be, Master Mama is going to deliver our people. He's going to deliver. I'm making a selection. He's doing delivering. Because he's going to break the whole. That's something I really didn't tell you before. I can tell you that now. I'm way ahead of you. I see what he's doing. I don't know exactly when he's going to do it, but I know what he's going to do. Because the angel tells us he's going to break that grip. Allah will lift you up with your clean earth. So he's going to break your clean. He's going to break that with your clean too. And then he'll rise up. Some everlasting life, some everlasting appointment. The viper is going to wake up too. Because now, they're going to lose everything they got, and they're going to realize, oh man, I should have been with Suleiman. I should have been here lying and stuff. See? Because I ain't got nothing here now. I ain't got no money. My car don't work. I ain't got no gas. I ain't that stuff. So they're gonna rise up too. Because the money, everything is no good. And the only game in town is Master Muhammad at that point. and Suleiman who's getting you hell out of here. But we don't want them. But we're going to take them out after the tribulation, because it said everlasting chamber part, but they're going to have to dance with the tyrant. You see? So when the gravitational vortex will be crippled and then broken, totally. But crippled. Have to get our people out of here. Break their grip. Because they got a firm grip on them right now. And Suleiman's not able to break that grip. He's pulling them. But once Solomon's mass break that grip, pull that trigger, that's going to break that grip. Then Suleiman's going to raise them up just like the great army. Going to raise the vipers up too, and the demons, all of them. And then you see what's happening to the demons. They put the sword, slaughtered. And what happens to the vipers? They eventually go out of here and into the arms of the tyrant for their deception, their betrayal, their treachery. They deserve every bit of it. I hope I covered everything here, brothers and sisters. I keep saying I need to take, well, everybody telling me to take a break. And I don't want to, I shouldn't say anything here. But I am. I'm 30 years beat, brothers and sisters. Woo. But I can't stop now. Because I know it's about to happen. See? So I rest once we get home. If you let me. I still got several jobs to do. I still got to get this whole thing fine-tuned perfectly and then pass off to Master Muhammad. That means if you out there, brothers and sisters, you better get yourself together. Ain't no half-stepping. Now just think about it. Let me let this go. Say, for instance, you knew that if you were on this job, say you're a construction worker, and you had to work your ass off, man. I mean, you had to work 8 hours a day, man, and you had to really finish work. But you guys don't pay you $500 an hour. Hell, you might do it. $500 an hour? I mean, man, I'd be tired as hell, but damn, I'm getting $500 an hour. 8 hours, man? $40,000? Or $4,000 after 8 hours? I do every day. But if you ain't, they say, well, what's wrong with that person? That means he don't know what's going on. I mean, he don't realize that that's what he's getting back if he put that much in. And right now, brothers and sisters, for the last 5 years, you've been putting a lot in and getting nothing out. You put $1,000 in and getting $1 out. But now you put $100 in, you get $100 back. And pretty soon you'll be getting $100 and you'll be getting $500 back. That's the reward. That's the start-off reward. And that's what the angel's teaching you. But if you want to sit around and act like you ain't getting nothing back, if you don't, remember, you might be getting that back, but you got to put the work in to get it. Yeah, I'm going to pay $5 out, but you got to come in and work. But if you sit there, you don't get it. Because you don't realize you won't get back by what you put in. And if you understand that, it's like I tell people, I say, you know something? You talk all this crap you want to, but if I told you in the ground over there, right, that underneath the ground, 6 feet under the ground, there was a $1 billion worth of gold, you would be talking to me. If you believe it, you would be talking to me. Man, you'd be over there digging like hell. If you believed it, the other thing you don't believe, I'm talking about because you're saying that stuff, but if you really believe that, this would be what you would be doing. And so if you believe what the angel's saying and you will be going to give me, you should be all in. You should be 100%. But if you ain't, that means you don't really believe it. You put a little bit in because you think you're going to get a little bit out. That's the problem. And then another thing, Elijah Muhammad showed the world where we could be. He took brothers that was not educated, brothers in prison, elder brothers, younger brothers, everything. And man, they were sharp. FY was sharp. I was there. They were sharp. They took care of business. They were sharp. He showed the world. That's what scared the world. Because these people like There was nothing. There was dope dealers and everything else. Right? Half educated, could half talk and everything else. And look what he did with him. Look what he did with Malcolm. Look what he did with Ali. Ali wasn't a brain scientist. Look at all these people. See? Because they listened and they applied. And FY was feared. And anybody got in an argument with them, they would, you knew FY when you saw him because it took it very sharp. And now you got Farrakhan's FY, they ain't sharp, they ain't anything like they were. But you still have a certain standard. Now here you got the angel, and you got all this knowledge that you got way more than anything Elijah Muhammad got. And you walk around mumbling and stuff. What does that mean? That means you don't really believe in what? Because he would take them, and they didn't have that much. They were his supreme wisdom and Muhammad's newspaper, and there was soldiers. Take care of business. Sharp. I was there. You think I got all this study and knowledge and science and everything I got by sitting there scratching my ass? So, I know what's going on. See? And if, they used to marvel at Marcus Garvey's people. And Elijah came along and he made the FY look even more impressive than them. That means if you're in the world, you can be more impressive than that. You can be more impressive than them. If I wasn't talking no more than Mrs. Black Man, then why should anybody listen to me? You hear Eric and all them guys. I mean, these look. I mean, they have a certain persona about them. I mean, Ishmael and them, they stupid as hell and everything, but they do have a certain professionalism about them. They're ignorant as hell, and we less than that. We should be running circles around them clowns. We should be mathematics, bam. Not walking around mumbling and carrying on. You see the stuff I be telling them, they can't keep up anything I'm talking about. Every time they try to catch up, I'm way ahead of them. Stuff I'm talking about today, they have no idea. And not connected with how we live today and how it fits into where we're going right now. And stuff you can use to make yourself better. They can't keep up with me. But I'm so who the hell will listen to that? And what good is it? And what's the point? I might as well listen to them. So you're not a perfectionist. And it's going to be perfect. You're going to pass up perfect. And that's why I said, you better read about the 400 for 4,000. They're perfectionists. It says no blemish in their mouth. They'll lie in their mouth. There's no blemish. They're perfect. And how can they be perfect if the man that raised them wasn't perfect? But you understand the perfection again. Perfectly balanced. See, I'm holy, I walk on water. Perfectly balanced. Right? I can distinguish shit from honey. I can distinguish manure from honey. Balance. See, that's mathematics. See? And so I'm bringing the world that's totally balanced, and that's what appeals to the Master Muhammad. So it's totally, perfectly balanced. See? And if you ain't putting anything in, you're not getting anything out. Because you can always put in. If you're sitting around here and you're giving some kind of presentation and also all messed up, that means you didn't take time to make sure it was right. That means you didn't give a fuck about it. Oh, they use that word, see? But that's exactly the right word for that situation I just said. But see, you can't understand that. I choose those words because it's perfect and balanced what I just said. Because you don't. Because if that was your baby, you make sure it's diaper, you put diapers clean and neat and comfortable for the baby. You just throw something on them. That means you don't give a damn about the baby. You can't fool me. And so you get what you pay for. You reap what you sow. If at first I didn't ask for any injured warriors. I didn't ask for any. I didn't want anybody to be bothered with me. I didn't bother anybody anyway, because I didn't think anybody could keep up. And then I figured they just slow me down. And that's the case. But I'm not. And sometimes, the devil will send people in, because I've had that in the past, just to make this whole thing look ridiculous. I had to get rid of those people. They was doing it purposely to make the whole thing look ridiculous, so everybody said, look how silly and ridiculous they are. And that was reflecting on me. I can't have that. Elijah Muhammad had either. Because if you was FY, you had to be clean. You had to be sharp. You had to be knowledgeable. Or you could wear an FY uniform. They put on anybody nowadays. And I can't allow anybody to represent Angel Key unless they 100%. They got to be sharp thinking, sharp-minded, sharp moving. Knowledge got to be sharp. That shows who you are. Because that's what your persona is going to reflect what's inside of you. If I'm mumbling around the counter, what the hell? You know what I'm talking about? I already get some of that anyway. Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. Well, they told Elijah Muhammad the same thing. He said, you don't understand. That's why Elijah Muhammad wanted a spokesman. And Master Muhammad said, you don't need one. No, I'm not even going down that road. Ask for a spokesman. I didn't even go down that road. But, but I probably could use one, but I ain't going down that road. Down that route. God, I don't speak well. I never have. Even when I was young, because I never talked that much. I tell you, I don't never talk that much. So I don't know if that determines how well you can speak. If you can speak a lot, I was a big listener, studier, right? And then when you get to talking, I've been a fight any damn way. I go to the gym, everybody get mad at me because I don't talk to anybody. Oh, you don't never talk to anybody. I ain't did to talk. I'm here to work out. When you see 140,000, you understand. Because when you see 140,000, it says Suleiman would make his ministers, right, flames of fire. And how sharp they'd be. Flames of fire. Not mud puddles. And I ain't going to tolerate it. See? Because that doesn't represent the angel. Doesn't represent Elijah Muhammad, doesn't represent Master Muhammad, and damn sure doesn't represent me. They look at him, well, okay, well, whatever you call it, that's your perspective, right? But the angel, that's not what it says. So if you read the angel, it ain't what it says about the Lamb, is it? So he's the only one to break the seals. So if I broke the seals, then maybe what you think, or what you think you see, maybe it ain't what it is. Maybe your perspective, all screwed up. Right? Because it says, who's Jonah? Who's Suma? Ain't he supposed to be Noah? Ain't he supposed to know? And what it say about Noah? It says, God found Noah perfect in his day, perfectly balanced. See? Read it. So the flaw that you think you see, that's the flaw in your own mind, your own eye. Can you understand? Because you don't want, if you got what you asked for, this little perfect thing that walks on water and don't shit and talk, you know what you got there? You got somebody that's going to bust your ass. Because they're going to expect you to be just that way. And you ain't that way. So that's your leader. So that's what he's doing. So he's going to want you to do the same way. Because you're even for real. I accept you as you are. I accept you as you are. If you down with the angel, I ain't want to change your nature. I'm just telling you, we're at war. If you want to fight, you get the hell out the way. That's what I'm talking about. Are you willing to fight? I don't want to change your nature. You ain't see me try to change anybody's nature. I'm saying, are you willing to fight? If you fight, if you go in the military, yes. They ain't change your nature. Just teach you how to fight. And you got to be able to learn those things so you can be effective. Otherwise, they can't use you. So if you're willing to fight, you can get out of the way. But we fight with minds. And you showing, and you're running around. How does that fight with a mind? If your mind's all muddled up. How the hell are you fighting minds and your mind's all muddled up? Your mind's all confused. You're saying stuff don't add up. But you fight with mathematics. Now you tell me, under any circumstance, how it makes sense. If you fight minds, and our tool is mathematics, atom bombs, mathematics, so that's our weapon. Yeah, you can't add 5 plus 5. You mumbling around, and your mind's off, mumbling. You, how the hell are you fighting? What are you fighting with? How the hell are you a soldier? When that's your weapon, and your weapon ain't clean, it doesn't fire, it backfires, it what they call it, jams up. How the hell we need you? You don't understand that? But we don't put our sisters on the fire line. I tell you that, sisters. If you understand this, right? Like I said, we with you. We're going to support you everywhere we can. Okay? But we don't want you messing around with this either. Can't have it. I can't have it. See? But if you're in the battlefield, you should be on the battlefield. You should be ready. You know, that was one thing about me, even when I was in the military, even when I was in the flight, messing around everything. One thing I already know about me, they might didn't like me, but they knew I was a sharp soldier. I was one of the sharpest soldiers around. I was in the military, I was one of the sharpest soldiers around. I was sharp. They call me Strike. They said, brother, Strike. You know, they don't promote me nothing else. They get all kinds of stuff. I was Strike. I was a sharp soldier because I was there. I was there. Once I'm there, I did my thing. See, and when I was messing around, I was sharp. I was 100%. I was first class brother because that's why you had different classes. You had to be a class A brother, to be a security guard and all that kind of stuff. I was a class A brother. Everything I did, my pay and everything. The only thing I didn't do, I go to minister's class. They tried to get me in minister's class. I guess, you know. And today, now I look back at it, I said maybe I should have got into it. But like I said, I was going against my nature because I didn't want to be arguing with people. I didn't want to be trying to convince anybody. I just wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be a soldier for Elijah Muhammad. That's all I wanted. I wasn't trying to lift myself up, trying to be the man, the big man. Because I ain't trying to do that right now. People try to say, call me. I said, I tell everybody, don't look. You want to call me master suit? Not fine. That's enough. See, and that's because not becoming a master, because I'm a master angel. Period. I ain't trying to exalt myself. I ain't asking somebody to worship me. I don't want. In fact, I resist it. If you do it, you want to get on my bad side. Start talking, you worship me, that kind of stuff. He's honorable. Now you start talking that kind of stuff. You out here so fast. Because that ain't me. I'm your brother. That's all I ever wanted to be. That's all I'm ever going to be. Here or not here. That's all Master Muhammad was. He didn't have somebody to worship him. He says he was our nephew. He was his uncle. All this shit, Farrakhan, honorable, all kinds of. I know Elijah Muhammad accepted honorable Elijah Muhammad. I had no problem with that. He was honorable. But Farrakhan's far from it. He must always worship me, but he ain't produced a damn thing. I ain't here to be worshipped. I'm here to do a job, get this nation set, put it back, tune it back up, fine tune it, give it a natural net. You don't see me no more. I hope that's clear. But I'm not going to tolerate any bullshit in me, and I'm not going to tolerate any meantime. That's what it says in the Lamb's Book of Life, right? You in this case, you better be 100%. You better be straight. You better be sharp. You better do your homework. You better know what the hell you're talking about. With all the information you got, or tools you... If I had got all this stuff that I'm giving you when the message was around, man, I don't know where I'd be today. It took 30 years to get this. And I'm still studying. I'm gonna leave it there, brothers and sisters. Right? But you got yourself. If you understand consequence, then ask yourself, what will be the consequence of what you're doing? I mean, we need to apply this thing to ourselves. What will be the consequence of what you're doing? If you're not paying attention to what you're doing, what's the consequence of that? If you slack, what's the consequence of that? If you don't pay attention to what you're doing, what's the consequence? If you're living a bad product, what's the consequence of that? Ask yourself that. Assalamu alaikum.